Personally, I think we can run. I think we can run this one. I'm not sure where. Well, guys, I guess we're in a boss fight.
Yep, that's usually how I go right there. Shalom, everybody. Welcome to Lessons Learned, and Zephaniah here with another video. So yeah, you know, you just living life. Everything's going well, you know, doing everything that you need to do. Get to that breakthrough point. You're like, oh, I'm right there. I'm about to succeed. You know, all my hard work's about to pay off, and then boom, boss battle, rough times, storm. You know, it just starts rolling through. You know, man, you know, it's happened to me so many times. Yeah, before, when I posted my first video, you ever just set your mind to do something and it just doesn't work out? Like every single time you sit down, you're like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna do this one thing, and then something just comes up. Like, it was tough. When I would finish one stage of the video, right, like something else wouldn't work. I was in this like little loop where it was like, when I was doing the script, it was like I couldn't even speak, man. I was like saying two words, stuttering everywhere. It was like somebody was literally putting like my goal right there, and they're like, go ahead, achieve it, it's so close you can even grab it, right? They're like, go ahead, grab it. Go and grab it, and then poof, you're right back at square one. I'm telling you, my first video, I have never had as many problems as I did when I was posting my first video. You could tell too, like that might have been spiritual warfare that was taking place. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, it was frustrating. But anyways, yes, like today, I want to. Come on, man. Got Mr. Spider making a spider web. Oh, he's going down. He heard us. See? He's like, all right, man, dang, I might as well just move then. See, all you gotta do is ask. Never lose encouragement in these times, because it's a sign that you're on the right track. Of course, we all know that resistance is a good sign of growth. In electricity, there are two types of circuits. There's parallel circuit and there's a series circuit. Let me break it down. So in a circuit, there's a few components, right? There's a circuit itself, right? You know, if you could just picture like a square, you know, and then, you know, on it, there's resistors. Those can be anything like appliances that you connect and hook up to the system, or, you know, just resistors themselves to make the resistance to bring down the voltage, you know, on purpose. Then, of course, you have your power supply, right? So there's the three basic components of a circuit, right? Series connections run in series, one after the other, right? So if when power goes through, it loses voltage because, you know, it gets slowed down because the voltage goes through every single one of the, whatever it is, whether it's a resistor or whether it's an appliance. It goes one after the other, you know, subsequently, right? So there's a parallel circuit, right? It's just this big grid that have, instead of them being in series, they all have their own, you know, lines in this big square. So if you just picture a big rectangle, right, on like horizontal, and then you got all these lines, and it say it's like 3 lines, right? And excuse me, every one of them have their own appliance. So honestly, it's very efficient because, you know, the power comes through, but it branches off onto separate lines, right? You know, everything gets its, you know, its power, and then, you know, based on its conversion, all the power goes right back to the power source. You know what I mean? Anyways, so to break this down, in life, we are in this one big parallel circuit. Series circuits are like family households, right? You get all your information from your father. You get raised by your parents. Your schools, right? You get taught in school. You know, you got to stay there for a certain amount of time, and you got to listen to your teacher, right? Parallel circuits, we're in the big grand scheme of things, the body of the Most High, the body of God, you know, operating and emitting his law and the way that this world is meant to work, right? So I've explained this to let you know this, right? In a parallel circuit, the resistance of one appliance, right, in the whole parallel is greater than the overall resistance of the entire parallel circuit. It's pretty awesome. It's good news, right? You know, good news of salvation, that's what we're supposed to be preaching. But that's good news, right? So It just means that whatever supply you get from the Most High, there's always going to be more resistance, you know, converting it into something that is beneficial to give to others and to give back to Him, right? Because, I mean, obviously, it takes time, you know? We got to do what we got to do to build the things, to get the supplies, you know, to make sure that we convert it into something good. So it makes sense, right? But the overall parallel circuit is efficient, and is because it's all consistently flowing, and it's always flowing. That power is going through, and it's in the perimeter. The perimeter is consistent, which makes a lot of sense because we're covered by the Most High. So if He's the perimeter, He's eternal. You know what I mean? So He's always, you know. See, when you're actually in, you know, in line, in your parallel, you know, in line with what your purpose is in life, that resistance can feel like it's absolutely nothing. It could pretty much feel like the resistance of the entire scheme of things, of the entire parallel circuit. It's just you have to make sure you wait for this order to come in, or you got to make sure that you go get the ingredients to put this together. You got to build a home. You got to wait for a tree to grow. You know what I mean? There's a whole process. That's the reason why the resistance is greater where you are, you know, on your part, or in where the appliance is because there's a process in regards to everything when it's built, right? So it's encouraging just to know that is a process. You know what I mean? It's just on the outside, you know what I mean? When you look at it, the resistance is greater, but it's a part of the grand scheme, so it really isn't resistance. You know what I mean? Or it isn't. It's the same as the outside, right? When it isn't, like when it feels like it isn't the same as the outside, and it feels like it isn't efficient, that should let you know and give you the discernment to understand that there's a problem. But check this out. The Most High really set things up perfectly. Right, so you're on your parallel. You have your given purpose that you're operating in and everything. You're going well. You're efficient. You're doing what you need to do, right? And then boom, a trial comes, a problem comes, somebody comes in your life, whatever the case may be. Satan, his, you know, I really don't like saying Satan as a whole because in all actuality, Satan is actually broken apart. He's actually not whole at all whatsoever. So when I don't like to consider Satan like a whole anything, you know. But anyways, your child comes, right? Or something happens, you know, and that you have to deal with, you know. I really honestly don't like calling them trials either because then some people think that they're always meant to happen. That's why you have to deal with them, because it wasn't meant to happen. So there's a physical law this world operates on, down to the molecular level, down to atoms, and that is the fact that opposites attract. For a good reason. In my video that I posted the other day on accountability, I mentioned oxidative stress, right? Free radicals and antioxidants. Free radicals are the negative side, the ones that need something, are always taken away from the molecules next to it, breaking things down because they're unstable, they don't have what they need. Antioxidants have extra what they need, so when they come in contact with the free radical, everything ceases. All the problems cease. Everything is, what's it called? There's a word I'm looking for. Everything is made default. You know what I mean? Everything defaults. You know, everything is balanced. You know, there's a word I'm looking for. I just can't find it. If you guys find it, put it in the comments. Because, yeah, I mean, it seems so obvious. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. It's like leveling, everything levels out or whatever. You know, but it's like when something brings another thing to the situation, it kind of levels out, whatever that synonym is. But anyways, yeah, that's an example of opposites attract, right? And it's just like that for a reason. Man, female, positive, negative. You know, it's like that for one reason. So that the darkness receives light. To make the darkness light, just like the night. So you may be, coming across a problem in your situation. Say you're a medic, right? And then you're out and about going hiking. Something happens. Somebody gets hurt. You know, that can be something that you're going through. Like, oh my goodness, it's a bad boss battle. It's a tough situation I got to go through. But it happened near you because you're a medic. You solved that problem, right? These things come into your life so that you can offer what it is that you have, like an antioxidant, offer what you have to heal the situation and to heal the people in it. Maybe even the main villain, and make that main villain, like Vegeta, into a superhero. You know what I'm saying? And if that's the villain and they need to get destroyed or whatever, if the dragon needs to be slayed, you know, then you'll offer a good example for the people around the situation on how to handle that situation. That's the reason why these trials come. That's the reason why opposites attract. And if you keep that mentality, when it's always just a problem that needs to be solved and you're solving it with your answer to it, then you'll look at these boss battles different. You'll actually go in like a superhero, ready to solve the problem. You know what I mean? Knowing good and well that you'll get through and that you'll see brighter days. You know you'll bring healing to the circumstance and to the people in it. So just keep that in mind moving forward in regards to your circumstances or your tough times or your what some would say is trials, you know what I mean, that come into your life and just make things more difficult. Look at it as something that maybe just testing your strengths, making you stronger. And that's another element too, is the fact that God puts it in your life to work you out like a muscle, make you stronger, right? Because how do muscles work? You go, you work them out, they tear. After they tear, they get repaired, they heal. But then when they get repaired and when they heal, they come back stronger, right? And you'll have that notch on your belt so that when another situation like that comes, boom, it'll be dealt with. Bam, bam. People around will see that and then they'll know how to deal with it too. Bam, bam, bam. And then the whole parallel just keeps getting more efficient and more efficient and more efficient. Then with your example, you add more people to the parallel, what makes it even more efficient, more efficient, more efficient. You see how it's just all good news? You see how life is just good news? There's always something that you can be doing righteously, you know? That it just makes life just such a great experience, and it makes it so, you know, that you don't, like, it's, why would you ever want to give up? You know what I mean? Why would you ever not want somebody to understand this, you know, so that they can truly experience what life has to offer as well, you know? So it's just beautiful. There's a game that I ever suggest that you guys play in order to work your muscle in regards to these trials. You'll always get better and better. It's difficult, but you will always get better and better, and it will help you mentally to build the perseverance that you need and the endurance that you need in order to get through trials and to push through, you know what I mean, to maintain your integrity. It's Elden Ring. Elden Ring and any of those Dark Soul games or whatever, they are tough. In any game like it, there's this game called Sekiro, you know, there's this other game called, what was it called, like Bloodborne or something like that. Either way, just type in Dark Souls type game or Elden Ring type game, they'll come up. The boss battles there are like crazy. So you gotta have to learn patterns. You have to make sure that you come in a certain way in order to achieve the mission, and making sure you get those boss battles won and done. Keep gaming, folks. All that being said, this is how you actually act in these situations right here.
Let's do
You
it.
definitely don't act like this.